Okay,
Welcome to the narrow way.
yeah, so I have here with me today the owner and founder of Out of Thin Air, a bakery business that serves the Los Angeles area, which began in 2021 and is projected to earn millions in gross revenue. Alex is also a recovering addict, a Christian, a husband, and soon to be father. Thanks for being here, man.
Faja.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
So I have a couple quick. Quick questions. I have a couple quick questions. Hold on. I have a couple quick questions. Okay.
Okay.
These are serious questions.
Is this a serious?
Okay,
serious.
Dude, just for everyone else out there, just like so they have context.
Yeah.
You know, what did your life look like before you found recovery? Before you even had a business? Like, if you could just paint a picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the. I thought I was definitely homeless, but I thought I was home more. Like I thought I had so much going on, man. And like it was this kind of like place of delusion where I created almost like a reality for myself. I was like one of those guys that like you'll see like walking across the street high as fuck, just kind of like feeling himself, like thinking he's the shit, but and people are staring at me and I'm like, it was like I was like validating, like, oh, they think I'm the shit. But they were probably just like, who is this fucking who is this freaking weird ass dude that's walking around like with his pants almost off, and yeah, I was really lost. In one word, I was just lost. I completely just didn't know who I was anymore. And the creepy part was that I was so sure of who I was at the same time. You know, that was the creepy part.
And like, what was your situation like?
Let's see. I was living in rehab, in and out of rehabs for a long time. I did the geographical, so I tried to get away from, I blamed places, people, and so I moved to Mongolia, stayed in a mission field for a year and got kicked out of there because I found drugs there. And then I moved to Korea, lived there for like 5 years, went to school, and, got caught for selling weed and had to do a year in prison there, and then got deported to the U.S., which is very like backwards, and then
Yeah, especially today.
excuse me, and and yeah, so I'm just kind of hopping around, and if it's not countries, it's cities, and eventually, I found myself in a rehab center called Nodum Christian Fellowship, which is also a church. And there, I really tried to get clean. But yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah. Okay. And then at some point, like you were like working odd jobs or something until you stumbled into what you do now.
Yeah, so I got my GED because I had gone and I got a fake high school diploma and went to school with that somehow in Korea. And then when I came back, I tried to apply to certain schools, and they were like, dude, this diploma doesn't, like, the school, what is Sunshine High School? And so I had to get my GED, and then did that, and went back to school, graduated, which was like an endeavor I've been trying to do since I was 18. So it took me a decade to finally get my diploma, and like it wasn't really about the degree, it was more about like the feeling of like finishing something for the first time in my life. That kind of set the tone for the next stage. And yeah, I was working at a coffee shop. I was gonna go into a. I got my license to sell insurance, but it just didn't like. It felt like a cop out, like
Mm.
to do something. I don't know, safe, and a good friend of mine who owns House Roots Coffee. He was like, "Dude, you're not gonna like that job, like, and um, I started to ask myself like what I really want to do, and I really enjoy cooking and feeding people, and so I got to work at House Roots Coffee. It was my first job out of rehab, and then from there I got really addicted to baking bread during the pandemic. Everybody and their mother was baking sourdough, and I got really into that. Like just like I'm an addict, so I get this like addictive behavior around anything I get hooked on, and I just got hooked on that. And I started researching like where are the best bakeries, because I was also selling my bread out of my mom's house, and I had this disconnect because I was charging $10 for this bread, but I knew deep down that my bread like sucked ass. But I'm selling it to church friends who like they're super nice, so they're like, "Oh, I believe in you," like, but like internally, I was like, "No, dude, like this is bad," and they're just being nice. So, um, but that was enough like support for me to feel like validation, like, oh, maybe I can do something with this. It was just enough to get me to the point of like having an honest assessment, and then I was like, I need to learn from the best.
Mm.
So that's when I started doing research, looking for like the best bakeries in town. I found Clark Street, Bub and Grandma's. These two were like top on the top list, and so while I was working at House Roots, I was sent like turning in my resume. They didn't hire me, and eventually I had to like tip this barista like $50 to get my resume to the guys up top, and then eventually they called me to be on the register or something like that. It wasn't to bake bread, so then I just kind of did everything they told me to do, but I was like bugging them about like, hey, can I like get in the back of the house? I really want to learn bread. And eventually like they gave me some like 50-50, part-time in the back, part-time in the front. And then that was around the time where I applied to another bakery, Bubs, and they didn't take me in at first because I had no experience. But by the time I told them I was at Clark Street, they were going through a lot of problems because of the pandemic, and they needed somebody to come in, and it was just like perfect timing. And I did like a stint there for about a year. Um, and yeah, those were the odd jobs I was working before I started OTA. And once I felt like I became like a machine, like, because at the end of the day, I'm going to make my own product. So I was like, in my head, I was like, I need to become a production machine. So, it's all reps, and wholesale would gives you the reps you need. And once I felt ready, then I saved up maybe $4,000 and turned our apartment into our apartment in Echo Park into basically a bakery. The living room became a bakery, and yeah, I just went from there. Really, bought like a small commercial oven that you can connect into a residential power line, and yeah, I mean the rest is kind of history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, quite a journey, man. Once your business started taking off, did anything from your past life as a drug addict show up in the work you were doing?
Oh fuck yeah, dude. I mean, I'm like an addict uh nonstop. Even today I struggle with that cuz like I wish it was about the drugs. It's like it's that the drugs was just my tool to cope with something deeper, and that thing that's deeper is an Alex problem, and I'm still Alex. So it's like the obsession, the need to prove everybody wrong,
Mm.
I'm behind everybody. Like, all my friends are getting married and having kids, and what am I doing in this bakery, like in my apartment? Like, all those voices never stopped. And at first, I mean, I didn't know at the time, that's how crazy this disease is. But like, the driving force of so much of my work was obsession, like, and masqueraded as drive, right? Like, and I'd be like lying to you if I didn't still have some of that, but it's definitely gotten quieter. But one thing that really helped me battle through those moments was the purpose of why I was doing it. I set such a strong purpose and mission behind what we wanted to do that even if that obsession came and tried to take me out, my desire to, be of service to addicts and create jobs for addicts and like build something for the kingdom of God just completely overshadowed that. But that it was a wrestle for sure. Yeah.
Damn. Dude, that's a crazy, crazy story. What's a part of your success story that looks impressive on Instagram, but almost destroyed you behind the scenes?
All of it, like
Yeah.
dude, you cannot, I was told this earlier, like, you can't compare your bloopers with other people's highlights, and Instagram is just only highlights, man. And so like, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's painful. You're comparing all the time, like, and it doesn't even matter. Like, I could even now I catch myself doing shit like that, and it's almost like designed that way. And yeah, what used to feel like, oh wow, I got 100 likes, is now like, damn, I got only 100 likes, like like, and it just never ends, so there's something there that like, that needs to be addressed, and that's my responsibility with myself. Like, I have to check in with myself. Why am I feeling this way? What about my recovery is lacking at the moment, and what do I need to do to check in? Like, what kind of tools do I need to? And so like, that's the great thing about the NA program, which I'm a part of. Like, it really helped me build tools to cope with these things, because I could not do this alone. Like, I need a fellowship of men that have gone through this for years sometimes. And sometimes it's like I get help from people that have only gone through it for like a week, but just being reminded, like, oh wow, like, I am this guy with 1 week clean, struggling with the obsession. I'm like, it just reminds me, oh my God, like, I'm doing the same shit. Like, it's just different toys that we get to obsess over, right? And what was the question?
Well, I was asking, like, what part of your success story like looked impressive for everyone to see, but behind the scenes it almost destroyed you.
Yeah, so one interesting thing about the way I decided to approach social media was that, and I didn't do this on purpose because I thought it would benefit me in some way, but I just wanted to be as honest as possible. Like, I wanted to be as honest as possible. I didn't want to hide anything. Does that mean I did that perfectly? No. But I just wanted to journal, use it like a journal, almost like how I check in with myself in my recovery. Like, that's how I wanted to approach this journey of business, where business is just I want to say, like, the new the tool that God is using to train me to become who He's always designed me to be. And that's what it's been like, because it's fucking hard, like every day is something new. And every day is I can't, for someone like me who loves schedules, like it just like destroyed any type of like planning. Essentially, I could have broad plans, but every day was just so different. Like this broke down, this didn't go well. And that's the crazy thing about bread. Like bread is one of those things where you're at the mercy of so many things, like the temperature of the day, the humidity of the day. And you can't just create a perfect schedule. Like the bread needs to be the one dictating, telling the baker like, oh, you need to fold the dough now, you need to shape the dough now, like it needs to rise a certain way, so you got to feel it. There's a little finessing that has to go down. And after all that, the next day the bread might still come out like shit because something might have happened overnight.
Wow.
So it's just like such a humbling like journey with the bread that it kind of trained me to approach business in that way too, where like I don't have it all figured out. Like I just have to constantly admit that I don't have it all figured out. And with the social media, same thing. Like if I'm recording this, and I didn't do it on purpose again, but like now that I see it, like since I took such a honest approach every time I made a post, I didn't like, you can see all our bloopers in our posts sometimes. Sometimes I just talk about successes, but the fucking grind that goes behind it is no one will ever understand unless they do it themselves. And like Instagram posts I don't think they can ever paint the whole picture of what it's of the journey behind running a business.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Yeah. Damn. Man, throughout this journey, I'm wondering, you have some measure of success, things are going well, at least, from an objective outside perspective, right? It's growing. Who was there before there was any money or success? Like who believed in you before there was any money or success? And once there was, did anyone disappear?
My church believed in me. My church definitely believed in me, man. You believed in me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Like for those of you that don't know, is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so Daniel and I went to the same rehab, and we started our journey of recovery at a similar time, but Daniel he got a sponsor and he worked a program, and I took a more religious route. And then fast forward like a year, I relapsed, and I just remember just being destroyed because I did everything in my power to get clean. And as soon as I got an ear infection and the Vicodin came in, I just took it all. So I just remember, reaching out to you and like, what did you do differently? And you had told me, you just need a sponsor, man. And you gave me a meeting. Next day I showed up and found my rest in peace, our first sponsor, gave me his phone number, told me call me every day, and the rest is like history, you know. And I, I wish, when you say, oh, did someone believe in you, before the success, like, I think that's the most belief anyone has ever given me in that moment, because it's not about the achievement of the business, but it's about my life. It's about life. It's about, believing in a person, not in a venture, if that makes sense. Like, of course, I told people like, oh, I want to start I didn't even have a name for it. I was just like, oh, I know, like, my dad's an entrepreneur, so I always had that, thing luring behind me, like that. What it looks like to be a grown up was always like, you got to own your business or something, So it just naturally, like, I knew I wanted to start a business, but I didn't know what. And I would tell people, oh, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a business. And it's like, yeah, sure. People were like, oh, yeah, go ahead, but that's not really the important part. The important part is way before that, when I was struggling to just not even make ends meet. I didn't even know how to have $20 in my pocket without spending it on, like, at least some heroin. Like, I didn't even know how to go about the day without stealing at least a Sprite or something. And in that moment, the people that believed in me to this day are my best friends, even after the success, right? But then there were some that were like, I met later on, and they were like, yeah, I believe in you, man, blah, blah, blah. They're nowhere to be found. If anything, sometimes I look at them and I just feel like they're comparing themselves to me, and I can't have, even if I wanted to, like, I'm like, dude, it's just me, bro. Like, but they're just seeing, like, I don't know, maybe they're seeing their own jealousy, their own comparison, their own whatever. But I can't have that connection. And I've also had friends that we talked about this, and we actually got to reconcile that. And now we're like fucking supporting each other. And it's like, so it's not like, it's always an inward thing, man. Like, the real journey really is so inward that we miss the point sometimes. But yeah, that's been my experience with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, dude, that brings me back to actually, I remember those days. And for the record, I was pretty skeptical of your ventures, dude. I was like, is this guy gonna make it, dude? Like, the ventures part, yeah, I was like, honestly, I was like, oh, man, I don't know, man. Maybe you should like do insurance, like the safer route. But like, I never doubted you, like, as a person, as a man.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, man, it's been crazy to witness and be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, thanks for sharing that. As a Christian, was there ever a moment in business where it felt harder to do the right thing versus the profitable thing?
So, yes, my experience with that is not so much external, meaning like, actually, no, it was external too. I've been approached by some like investors that were like, oh, like, genuinely were like ready to give me like a $2 million, like a check, if we just grew, like he had a whole plan laid out, and we'll go 50-50. And was it a bad deal? No. See, this is the thing. Like, I have this guy in me that I called my um, what do you call those guys? Like my alter ego. Yeah, I have an alter ego. That's like the voices sound like this. Yo, this year we're gonna fucking make millions. You just gotta do this. You just gotta do that. You know, and then we're gonna fucking ball out. And we're gonna, like it just like sounds like that. I don't know how else to explain it. And so this guy approached me and he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, pretend that you're on Shark Tank right now." I kind of like pitched at him, and then he was like, "Okay, you know, you have great product, you know, blah blah blah. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, you know, we're gonna get that." And I was like, "Oh my God, he's my alter ego," you know. And then so I prayed because it was a great deal. Honestly, I like honestly wish I took it, but like also I don't, you know, because in my heart I was like, it's the voice that I'm trying to kill inside myself. So it's like, you know, because God isn't like that. You know, God is more like, in my experience so far, and more of internal thing inside the business. Like I have employees that want to start businesses, and so, you know, and I'm super supportive of that. And but then there's certain points where it's like, oh my God, he's like my top dude. So if I help this guy out, there's a part of me that's like, it feels like I'm shooting myself in the foot, right? Because I want to keep him. But it's also like, is like, I know that my mind is going towards manipulation at that point in order to do that. And that's not of God. So I would pray and God would be like, dude, don't you know that like I'm like endless resources? Just like I am, everything you own is mine. Like, and I won't, don't you trust me that I'm going to bless you? Don't you trust me that I'm going to bless him? Don't you trust me that I work all things together for those who love me? And then so I like decided to surrender that part of me. And I was like, hey man, like, you can use this space to do your pop-ups and do whatever you want. Like, I won't charge you anything. Just, you know, I believe in you, and you know, you should. And then now I'm like, we should sit down and look at some numbers on what it would look like to start a business right now, and blah blah blah, um, and he got baptized this year.
Wow.
And he gave his life to Christ this year, and it was the craziest prayer experience actually I've ever had, because he was like, he asked me how he was like struggling with shit, and he's like, what do I do? And maybe it was like that moment where I came to you that day, but I didn't say like, oh, you need a sponsor. I was like, you need to surrender. And he was like, how do I surrender? And I was like, we were at church, so it's like small church. Let's take this shit outside. So we go outside, and then we held hands in the middle of the street. I didn't know what prayer to do, so I did the third. I was like, repeat after me, and we did the third step prayer, just like Wing did it with us. And dude, by the end of that prayer, bro, like, she's crying, I'm crying. And then I just kept praying, like I couldn't stop praying. I was like, dude, God has a plan for you to be a blessing to the nations, and like, because he wants to take his business to Ecuador, right? So I was like, you know, God wants to do something amazing with you, man. Like, I hope that you can take, like, you know, like a part of, like what we're trying to build here and do over there, and like, it was like freaking weird. And then that day, he just changed completely after that, dude. Like, he wasn't like striving so much. Like, it was like he wasn't like trying to prove anything. He was just trying to learn more about who is this God that loves me so much, and what does he want I don't even think he wants anything from me. It's just like I want to learn more about him, you know. And so like he actually dropped the whole business thing just to learn more about God in this season, which was like incredible. I was like, wow, you already got rid of an idol. That's fucking sick. And he's building a foundation. And the business part is like, dude, I already know he was born to do it. Like God already has that prepared for him. But he's setting the tone, he's setting the foundation. And right now, he's still here. He's learning how to lead people. He's taking initiative to be like a manager, and he's creating culture within Out of Thin Air based on this, like from this place. And I'm just like, oh, God is setting this fool up. And when the time comes, I'm gonna kick that fucker out of here because he needs to go and bless people. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
it's like, so when you ask me like, oh, is there a point in the business where I had to like kill a part of, or like I had to decide whether being a Christian, like, you know what I mean, like obeying God was a loss. Like, dude,
Oh shit!
if like, yeah, and it did feel like a loss, but the gain was so sick, dude. So sick. And I got to experience the way in which God moves because I surrendered, because I didn't give in to my self-will, self-preserving thoughts, self-driven ambition, like. And after wrestling through that, to be honest with you, Daniel, I'm not sure how many businessmen out there have the balls to do that. Because it was fucking hard, dude. Like, it was a heavy surrender because it was like thoughts that went through my mind were like, how am I gonna feed my kids? How am I gonna, if we have a kid on the way, and how am I gonna pay? You know what I mean? Like, it was just this business, the survival of this business meant more than just me at a certain point, and it's like it almost tested my manhood too. It was so like, and God is like, don't you know I care about those things too? Yeah. So like, yeah, it was a trip, dude.
Wow. Do you have any advice? Like, let's say the 5-year-old version, the 5 years ago version of you, like somebody like you came to you, like you came to the guys at Bubs or whatever, and like, what advice, like they wanted advice, like they were just like, just tell me what to do. And like, if you're in that situation, like what kind of advice would you give that guy who's just starting out, who's ambitious, who wants to get into the bread game? What would you tell him? Or
I'd be like, well, first of all, I'd be like, dude, you should pick another job.
That's what every business owner says.
Really? I'd be like, dude, run. Find a nice W-2 with benefits, motherfucker. I used to think everybody wanted to run shit, and now I've actually come to the point of realizing that, like, not everybody wants this, first of all, and that's completely okay, and I respect that wholeheartedly. But to the ones that do, what I would say is like, get ready to suffer, man. Get ready to suffer, get ready to be tested, get ready to be put in a place where the only thing you have to really rely on is God's provision. And that's to the Christian, right? And to somebody that doesn't have that, it would just be like, you're no, I'm kidding. Someone that doesn't have that, honestly, I feel like it could be a little bit harder because then it just lands all on you, right? And you might be able to be a tough motherfucker that can do it. I'm not saying there aren't any out there. There are a lot, but will the experience be joyful? And I don't know. I mean, I actually try to study like the greats in this world, like Michael Jordan. I watch a lot of like sports, like documentaries on like people that like just made it to the highest level, right? And I one thing I noticed is that those guys paid a huge price to get there,
Yeah.
and it's family sometimes.
Yeah.
It's relationships. It's themselves. They lose themselves in the way. And one thing that this thing will do is take all those things away from you.
Wow.
But if you do it with God, something happens where you're not in control anymore. This thing doesn't even belong to you anymore. And you're like working for a higher point, like a higher purpose, where the results really don't matter to you as much, and who you're becoming becomes more of the focal point. So things like, oh, my wife, yeah, I'm like working my ass off, but my wife fucking hates seeing me. That stuff will start to affect you bad. And you have a choice to make, right? And, like, there's some badass women out there that are like, no, also, oh, this is just for a season, and you got to be united in that. Like, oh, this is just for a season because we need to get to a certain place where we're not like scrounging for fucking food. And you got to unite in that, But that conversation is not going to even happen if all you're obsessing about is success, So, to the young guy, I'd be like, first of all, like, ask yourself, why do you want to do this? What's the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish here? What's your mission? And if it's about you, then please don't just like, you're in for a ride is what I would say. But if you're doing it for something greater than yourself, then I think it's a journey worth taking. And in fact, I'd be mad at that person if they didn't do it.
Wow. Speaking of your wife, man, how is she a part of this journey? Because
Dude,
I know,
how
like,
is she not?
yeah, I remember back when you were doing pop-ups, it was just you and her, and I know your wife enough to know that like she's not enthusiastic about that
Hell no,
necessarily.
dude.
But
Hell no.
Yeah, but she did it like in the early days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how did your wife, like, what role did she play in this journey?
Well, first of all, back to that question, like, who believed in me and stuff. Like, she believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. And like, she didn't just say that. Like, she literally slept in the closet when I was baking out of the apartment because I'd have to wake up at 2 a.m. and chomp on bread. Like, just, and she's a light sleeper, so she was just slept in the closet. And yeah, I don't know if there's many women that are willing to do that out there. And we'd pray together, and she made more money than me at the time. So like, she paid rent. I paid for the food we ate. And like, we just really grinded together. And like, I'm like I'm a very difficult person to work with, but if you're a family, or in this case my wife, I'm like worse to work with. So like, I can't tell you how many times we've had just huge fights along the way because I was like I felt like the waters were rising so high, like I just needed, and I needed to grab onto something just to survive. And a lot of the times, the closest person to me would be Rocky. So I just grab Rocky and just be like, and that's what like made her do things that were out very uncomfortable for her. Like she'd have to do pop-ups because I'd do one pop-up here and then we'd have to do two at the same time. Couldn't be in two places at the same time. So she would sell bread at House Roots and I would sell bread at Paper Plant Co. And like that was so hard for her, but you know, she knew she was that it was good for her too. She just didn't like it. And you know, it was actually really, you know, like I'm so grateful to her, dude. Like I'm so grateful to her. Like we wouldn't be where we're at without her believing in me, you know, giving me a shoulder to cry on like a little bitch. Like yeah, there were moments where I was like ready to quit because of some issues with we had to move, and I was like, babe, I think I might be done with this shit. I don't know if I can keep doing this. And then she just looked at me and she was like, that's okay, you know, we'll figure it out. Like, and I was like, bitch, don't you know? No, I'm kidding. And I was like, thanks. Like, and not being like, how could you quit? You know, like none of that. She was like, all right, just figure it out. Like so chill about it, and you know, just God set some things up. Actually, like last minute, and we found another kitchen to work out of, and that was another testimony. But yeah, like my wife, dude, like she is my rock at home, dude. Like, you know,
Yeah, man. Damn, dude. Yeah, man. Faith, business, marriage. I think those are all the questions I have, man. Anything else you want to say?
thank you.
Thank you, man. Good shit.